Hello everybody, welcome to RimWorld. This is a game I've been wanting for some time, and I finally did it. I finally decided to buy it. I've been playing it for some time now. I've put about 15 hours or so into the game. I started off by just doing the tutorial, and so far my first colony, I just kind of kept the tutorial colony and continued on. There is some limitations with that, so obviously I'm going to probably at some point create just a brand new one. But we're just going to go through and look at a few things, a few mechanics with this game, the different things that you can kind of do and experiment and do. I think I said do way too many times, do. Anyway, but overall, it's a very fun game. It's kind of it reminds me of, well, let's just load it and go in first. So this is the tutorial world I've been working on. This game reminds me a lot of several different games kind of put together. And it takes kind of the best aspects of some games that I'm really fond of. So, first of all, it kind of has a top-down view similar to that of like Prison Architect. It has certain resource gathering type things. I don't know. You could say in some ways it's kind of like a Minecrafty type thing. You do have to like craft different things. You can farm different areas. You can do all sorts of stuff, really. You can get into weapons, you can get into building, you can get into, there's prisoners, you can get into, there's relationship things, you can brew beer, you have to do power management. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff, really. Like, I'm just going to leave the game on pause here for a second. But, like, if you go into, like, your main tab down here at the bottom is going to be your Architect tab. And when you go into here, there's different tabs even within here. So orders is going to be like what you want your colonists to do. So, if you want them to deconstruct something, if you want them to mine something, so if you zoom out into the further map, there's like these abandoned shacks, there's these like rock clusters. I think down here I actually still have some steel to mine. If I clear out of the menu completely, that on the lower left down here, if you hover over stuff, it'll tell you what it is. So if I hover like over this is a different texture than like the rest of the rock. It actually says that it's compacted steel. So for this, I could go to this orders and go to mine, and if I were to select this area, that'll queue that up for them to go and work on. Which, I mean, it's never bad to have steel, so we'll go ahead and have them do that anyway. So there's stuff like that. You can have them haul different things, which might be like these rocks. Like if these rocks are in the way, you can have them haul it to a dumping stockpile. Which I have a dumping stockpile over here, but I guess this is a good example here. So I have these farms set up. Now, they automatically haul the rocks off of the farms, and they just kind of put them in this area in between. If I wanted to get them out of here, I could actually tell them to haul them further away, and that'll just get rid of them. Otherwise, you can cut plants. You can do all sorts of stuff here. But yeah. All sorts of stuff under orders. If you go to structure, this is where you would tell them to build walls. You could choose the material. Same thing with the doors, choosing the material. And from there, it kind of feels like Prison Architect. It's like just click and drag and build walls. And then they'll also build like a roof over it if you build something with 4 sides. Bigger building like this, I actually had to put just single dots here in the middle to provide structure, because if you don't have enough structure for a roof, it either will collapse or they just will refuse to build it at all. Furniture, this is how you like what you fill inside of your buildings. It could be anything as simple as lamps. They light up the area. It makes your colonists happier if they have lamps inside, especially the areas that they're going to be living or sleeping. I've unlocked certain colors. There's also sun lamps that help plants grow. There's certain furniture like shelves and dressers where you can actually keep stuff in. So like you can put clothing, you can put weapons, you can put whatever. Potted plants, different types of tables, different types of beds, hospital beds, different type of things. Obviously, as you click on them, you can actually do different materials for the vast majority of these things. Just stuff to kind of keep in mind there. Also, security is also allows you to do security things. So I have these turrets. They're not the smartest thing in the world. It will recognize enemy from ally, I guess, to an extent. Basically, it'll fire at enemies, but it's not like super smart. So if you happen to like, let's say there was an enemy like right here where my cursor is, and I happen to have one of my settlers that was also in here like melee attacking it, this thing's not really smart enough to not necessarily not shoot the ally. It'll just shoot in this area. If it happens to hit one of my guys, it will actually hurt them. So it's not the smartest thing in the world. Also under security, there's sandbags, which I've in the past have put around my turrets to make them less likely to explode. I have yet to do it down here, so let's actually queue up a job to do that. So we're going to put sandbags around it in order to help protect it a little bit more. I have never used these traps before, but something you could definitely do as long as these other type of traps as well. Floors, this is, you know, basically by default it would just basically keep the grass and keep the dirt in here. If you want to put a different type of floor, you have to construct it. I've unlocked different colors carpet and stuff like that, but otherwise there's concrete, there's different types of stone, and then once you start getting cotton and stuff, you can do carpet as well. There's wooden floors in addition, and those are pretty easy. Wood is pretty easy to come by in this game. Ship, haven't really gotten into that yet. I really can't speak on that. When you look into zones, there's different types of zones. So stockpile zones, that's where you're going to keep your stuff. So like this is a stockpile zone. Basically, different types of goods are put there. I recently constructed this building. This whole building is actually a stockpile. So if we click on it, there we go. So this whole thing is stockpile. So this will fill up starting here pretty quickly. I built it indoors because certain materials will actually start to deteriorate if they're left uncovered. Let's see. It's not going to show you an example in here because this is actually covered. I put a roof over here. This is outdoors, but there's a roof here. Let's see, do we have any materials that are sitting outside that I can kind of use as an example? I don't know if there is, to be honest, because usually they do a pretty good job at picking up after themselves. But anyway, so that's stockpile zones, dumping stockpiles. That's going to be like where you're going to haul like rocks and crap that you don't really want. It'll try to bring it over there. I think there's also a dumping stockpile way up here, yep. So just where like random stuff goes that you really are no use to you. Growing zones, that's where you're going to have your different plants. So for instance, I just want to select the one. So like this is rice. This whole big thing is rice. And when it gets harvested, it gets put into here. I also have, this is going to be cotton that grows here. I have just an area that they just constantly replant and cut down trees. This is going to be, I'm clicking too fast. This is going to be hops. This is going to be for brewing beer, and this is heel root down here, and it helps make some medicine for us. So, I mean, there's all sorts of different things. So if you were to go to plant, these are all the different type of plants that you can put here. Different types of trees, different types of whatever. Some of them require more skill levels than others. This game's actually pretty good about, like, if you can click the little information button, it'll tell you more about it. So, in this case, what is Devil Strand? It's basically, let's see, a mushroom genetically engineered to produce a silk net of the highest grade. Okay, so basically it's a good source of a fiber or material. So I don't know exactly what you do with it, but I mean, you might be able to make different clothing out of it. But yeah, lots of different of plants and whatnot you can do with that. You can delete the zones, expand the home area. So if I select this is all of what my settlers think is the home area. Essentially what that means is that fires can break out, and that can be due to machinery, that can be due to electrical malfunctions, that sort of thing. And if a fire breaks out, they will automatically go and start to extinguish the fire. They also like clean the area up a bit more too. So like if a fire started way up here on this side of the map, they're not going to do anything about it. If it starts right here in the middle of our rice field here, they're all going to do their best to stop it. And actually, this probably could be added to it as well, because it's right in the middle of our wind turbine area. Probably should be on there. But you can clear that. You can build roofs over certain areas. Like that's what I did over here. I manually put a roof in. Snow, I haven't really come across. The area I'm in, I don't think really typically snows too often. I think it's maybe done it once or twice, but it doesn't stay for long. So that's zones. After that, you have production. This is going to be kind of like furniture, I suppose, but these are like furniture pieces that actually do something, where your settlers actually work. So I mean, I have some of these, not necessarily all of these at the moment, but an example would be some of these machines in here. Like this is a smithy where you can make knives. I have a bills put in to basically keep at least 2 in stock at all times. There's actually 10, so we actually have quite a few. As you can see, they're up in our stockpile zones, like sitting up here. Also keep 2 short bows in stock as well. We have 3. But you can add bills that you could tell to make all sorts of things. And you could do it until you have a certain amount. You could tell them to do it forever, basically keep doing it as long as you have the materials. Or you could do it like X number of times. So if I just wanted to make 5 of them and then stop doing that, you can do it that way too. Pretty simple there. The machining table I have, they make rifles. I currently don't have the parts for it. They're told to keep 2 in stock. There's currently none. I'm actually really low on some materials. As you notice, some of these things have these like red stars in it. These are actually broken down machines. I don't have the parts to fix them right now, so I'm waiting for a trader to come by and get me the parts. So that's what I'm currently waiting on. One of the machines or production tables is like this butcher table. I have them. I tell them to basically butcher creatures forever. So if there's a dead creature, butcher it, and then they put the meat in this freezer. This whole room is a big freezer. I have 3 air conditioning, or they're like air conditioning or cooling units that are set to keep it to 0, I believe, right? Target temperature, -18. I never wanted it 8. What? Oh, I was playing this on my other computer, and actually you can actually change it to Fahrenheit. That was Celsius that we were just looking at. So Fahrenheit, since that's what I do, I guess. That's what I know. All right, so if I click on this again, yeah. So the target temperature is going to be 0, so it's always going to try to bring this room down to 0. It cools out one end, and it shoots hot air out the other side, much like real air conditioners in real life. In the lower right-hand side, where it says outdoors 69 degrees, it's going to basically kind of like when you hover your mouse over materials and tells you what it is on the lower left side. It's going to tell you what the temperature is on the lower right side. So it's 69 degrees outside right now. If I move it inside here, it's 1 degree Fahrenheit indoors in this freezer. So it's pretty cold. In here, this is the food production. There's bills in here to make, or try to keep 200 simple meals in stock. Currently running a little bit low, but that's because they've been working on this. I recently added this survival meal package in here. They're going to try to keep 100 of these in stock. These packaged survival meals are good because they don't expire. Everything else has like an expiration. So if they're not frozen or refrigerated, they last a matter of like maybe 2 days, 2 to 3 days, as opposed to if it's frozen, like for instance, these are actually the meals. So if I click on it, it's frozen. It's not going to spoil at all. These are kept in here right now. They don't have to though. As you notice, there's actually, it doesn't say anything about expiration because they will not expire. I could move those survival meals out of here and store them somewhere else if I wanted to. That's good in case you want to go and form a caravan and travel to other places. We'll get to that here in just a moment. But yeah, other machines I have, like this is the research table. We'll get into that here in a second. This is one where it's the brewery, so basically if you have hops, this came from the farm, I'm telling it to take those hops and make wort forever. Basically, as long as I have supply, keep doing that. Wort needs to be refrigerated. I created a custom stockpile right here, and you can tell it what items you want in here and what you don't. So basically, I told it, don't put anything in here except for wort. It's the only thing allowed in this refrigerator. And this one's set to 36 degrees, so it's just a refrigerator, not a freezer. So as long as there's hops, this is going to make wort, store it in here. And basically, this wort gets poured into these fermenting barrels. I have several of them. As you can see, they're all full right now. And so this wort's just going to sit in here until there's open room in one of these barrels. And then after it comes out of these barrels, it produces beer. So there's quite a lot to this game. There's a lot you can do. And that just kind of scratches the surface in terms of the machines. There's so much more to it as well. I don't have any prisoners right now, so I can't really show that to you. But you have options in terms of whether you feed them, what type of health care they get, if any, whether you want to try to recruit them into your settlement, or if you just want to ignore them, if you want to execute them, if you know, there's all sorts of things. You could perform surgery on them and like remove their kidneys or remove their heart, their brain, whatever. So if you have a colonist that needs a kidney, you can actually take it from a prisoner and put it into one of your colonists. So yeah, lots of stuff going on there. That was under production. So power, that's a whole other separate thing. So I have wind turbines, which actually, if you click on them, it needs open space in the front and back in order for airflow to come through. But otherwise, there's solar panels. These are just lines that run in order to power the different things I have in the base. And then geothermal power generator over here as well. So lots of different options as well with power. Miscellaneous, that's going to be your trade beacon, your comms console. I have a comms console, don't have a trade beacon yet, but basically you can contact other factions and other tribes in order to try to set up trades and whatnot. And then just some other stuff too, like graves. Like I got a graveyard over here for some colonists that have died in the past, that type of thing. You could set where parties are supposed to happen. You could set where people are supposed to get married. Marriages happen here, apparently, in this settlement. After that, there's joy, so things they can do for fun. So horseshoe pin is there. Chess table up in here. I've got billiards table there, poker table over here, and a television. I haven't done a television yet, but I don't have the steel or the components necessary to do it. So that might be something I have to get later on down the road. Last thing is temperature. So you can set up campfires. You can have passive coolers. I've never actually used those before. Otherwise, you have heaters, which I have all over the place in different rooms and in different areas. Most of the bedrooms have their own heater, as well as a cooler. The cooler, like I said, if you were to click on it, you can set its target temperature. So like these bedrooms most of the rooms are set for 70 degrees to cool it to. You can change that as you see fit. Same thing with the heaters. If you click on those, what do you want it to warm it to? So the heaters, I typically have set to 68. So it'll warm to 68, it'll cool to 70. So basically the rooms ideally should stay between 68 and 70 degrees at all times, keeping everybody happy. That is the hope. It doesn't always work that way, but that is what I try to do. And then vents, they allow you to share temperature between rooms. I do that in only a few places. Like for instance, here in this building, I have 2 heaters, one way up here and one here, and 2 coolers. I didn't put any in these rooms back here, but they have vents. So basically, it's going to share the temperature of this room with this. So it's 70 degrees indoors right now, and it's going to be 70 degrees in these back rooms. Same thing over here. This is currently under construction. This is the prison area that I'm building. It actually doesn't have any heater. There's spots for heaters, but they haven't been built yet, as well as a cooler. But when it's all said and done, these are the vents. So I'm not going to put cooling units in all of these rooms, but it's going to share the temperature with this hallway, and I'm going to heat and cool the hallway, and it'll share it with the rooms. So that's a way that you can use those vents as well. So that's kind of the architect window, but as you saw, I mean, that took a long time to go through. There's a lot to that, and there's even more stuff that I probably could have gone through and didn't. If you go to your work tab, this is going to list everybody in your colony. They're also listed at the very top of the screen here. But this is going to tell you what they are proficient in. It'll check these by default for the ones that they are good at. If they're not good at it, but could technically still do it, leave it unchecked. And some people are incapable of certain things. A good example that caught my eye is down here. So this individual cannot fight fires. They refuse, I don't know if they just refuse to do it. So if there's a fire that breaks out, this individual is not going to help put fires out. They can't do doctoring. They can't basically negotiate and do warden work. They can't cook, but they can do some of these other things. So they can, that everybody can do that, but everybody can do that one as well. But this person is good at hunting. They are good at constructing. They are decent, or actually they're pretty good at mining. So they're good at some other things as well. I don't really touch this a lot of times. I let kind of the defaults kind of run its course. But if you have fewer people in your colony, so early on when you might only have 3 people, you might need to tinker around with this a little bit more, because maybe nobody is very good at being a doctor, but one of them could do it if they absolutely had to. And so maybe you just kind of force them to take on that role until you get some more people in your colony. At this point, I'm at a point where I think we have enough people where we're doing okay. But yeah, I mean, this is big. And then basically higher priorities to the left, lower priority to the right. So basically, as long as if there's ever a fire that breaks out, everybody's going to drop everything they're doing and go fight the fire. If they are hurt and they need to go to a medical bed, they're going to go do so before worrying about their other job. So you're not going to have somebody that is about to die on their deathbed. And they're like, oh God, I need to go tend to the fields. No, they're going to go stay in bed. If they end up being okay, then yeah, if they're capable of being a doctor, then they're going to take care of the other people that are patients. It makes sense, really. Bed rest, basically, that might be where you're not necessarily at threat of dying, but you are injured in some way and just need to rest. You're going to take care of that first. Flicking switches, pretty self-explanatory. If you turn machines on and off, you actually have to have somebody go by and flick the switch. So otherwise, warden is kind of your negotiating skills. That's how you would convince people to join your colony who are prisoners. It's also has to do with how you negotiate with traders as well. It's based on your social skill. Handling is with animals and whatnot. I don't really get into that a ton. I don't really go for taming animals, but something I could definitely look into as I play the game more. Cooking is where, they're going to go to those cooking tables and prepare meals. Hunting is when, you see an animal out in the wild. Let's see if we can find one real quick. That one's already targeted. Let's see if we find one that hasn't been targeted yet. This could be hard because I usually try to keep up on hunting. So if new animals come into the area, I usually try to do my best to scan the area once every couple days. So this one is just sleeping, I think, yeah. So if you click on an animal, a wild one out there, you can either try to tame it or you can hunt it. So if I try to go to hunt, then, basically at their own pace and time, they'll go out and actually hunt that. People that have that hunting skill. Construct would be the people that, like when you put walls down or try to build machines, these are the guys that are actually going to do it. People with the grow skill are going to be the ones that tend to the fields. People that do mining are obviously going to do, like when I put that work order in to do mining that steel, these are the guys that are going to do it. Plant cut, that's going to be like clearing grass out of the way. That doesn't get used very often. Smithing is going to be people that are making like those weapons or those tools. Tailor is going to be people making clothing, which I currently don't have a tailoring table up and going. People can make art. I don't have that yet in my colony. Crafting is going to be, it says right here, like stone cutting, smelting, using some of these machines in order to make certain things. Hauling, that's going to be people just carrying stuff around if things need to be hauled out of the way. Cleaning is going to be just cleaning up the area. Sometimes it gets dirty, sometimes there's blood, sometimes there's whatever. And then last but not least, research. So there's the research table. If we have a research topic enabled, if there's nothing else going on, they'll go and work on some research. So that's kind of the work tab. It's a big one as well. I've noticed that I use the tabs more to the left and less so as it goes to the right. Restrict, I haven't really dealt with. I kind of let them do whatever they want. So they're unrestricted to do whatever they want during whatever hours. I guess they're kind of encouraged to sleep at night. I guess they could do whatever they want. I wouldn't really care, but this is kind of the default. They can pretty much do whatever they want. But you can restrict them to different areas. You can restrict them to basically stay at home. Some of them are unrestricted in terms of wherever they want to go. So there's that. The assigned tab is going to be for, you can manage different like outfit sets. So so far they can wear anything they want. So if you go to anything, it's literally anything is available. But like these are defaults. I didn't set these, but like a worker can't wear power armor, can't wear tribal wear. They have to wear very certain like specific things. Like a soldier can only wear certain things. A nudist can't wear really anything but something on their head, pretty much, and shield. So you can make very specific outfits and make certain people wear them. So like if you had three or four hunters, you can make the hunters have you could create a hunting outfit that was specific just for that group of people if you wanted to. There's different drug policies. So social drugs. That's what most of them are able to do. So you can specifically say, well, social drugs, what are they allowed to do? I recently cut them off from beer, but I'll let them do it for joy. I don't want them to feed into their addictions, but I guess everybody, like all the other categories are. So if they're addicted to it, they can have it, because you're better off than if they go through withdrawals. But you can even go down to a person by person basis. So this person's like 82 years old, and he was having some problems drinking a lot. He also has a chemical interest in drugs, so I restricted him to 1 drink per day. Whether he follows that or not is another story. I don't think he will, but you can definitely get very nitpicky about the types of things that you do. Animals, there's quite a few animals in my colony. They actually have a hallway where I just have a bunch of pet beds lined up. I haven't really done much with animals in terms of what they do. I mean, I know you can slaughter your animals for food if you need to, and I think they make people happier being a part of the colony, so that's good. Research, this is the big one here as well. So the green ones are all ones that I've unlocked so far. Not many left. The ones that are grayed off over here, I have to build this multi-analyzer before I can do any of the rest of this over here. And I'm still waiting for some parts to build that. So that's going to be a little bit harder to do, but I'm working on that one as well. If you click the world, it goes to the world map. This is going to show you just how vast this game can be. So like I said, there are some restrictions from just playing the default tutorial map, and that means it won't let me settle more than 1 colony. But if you're in an actual game, you can actually, get some people to go move off to another space and start off another colony. So this is how vast the world is, right? And it's kind of just this one continent, but it takes you a significant amount of time to navigate from one area to the next. And so, let's see. So, yeah, I mean, you have some allies on the map, so, like, these people are fine. You have ones like this, they're hostile. If I were to destroy it, I would actually get some silver. But it takes a decent amount of time to actually navigate around. So I haven't done any of that yet. That's why I'm kind of building up that stockpile of the survival kit meals, because I want to get a group of people together to go explore around a little bit, which I'll be doing here soon. Otherwise, this history thing will tell you kind of the statistics of like your wealth over time. So as we gather more resources and do more stuff, yeah, we're getting more wealthy as time goes on. And some statistics as well. It'll tell you some more information about your particular world. So like I said, I poured about 16 hours into this. Not necessarily all playing. As you can see, the time even runs when you're on pause. We've been raided 5 times. 2 of my colonists have died. So just some different information there. Factions is a good one too. It'll tell you who you're on good terms with, who you're on bad terms with. I am on decent terms with 2 different factions, and I am 3 of them are hostile towards me. Some much more so than others. And you can actually turn the tides a bit too, so you can actually over time improve relations with some. You can worsen relationships with others. So there's that. Last but not least is just the menu. This is where you save. This is where you kind of go into your options menu and all that stuff. But that's been kind of a brief overlook at RimWorld. Just a quick amount of gameplay. I just sped it up real fast there. So like certain things we did is we put in that work order down here to do that mining. That's what this individual is doing down here. And they'll take that steel back to the base. Over here we have the sandbag order put in. And they're actually working through some of this wort production as well, waiting for some of these fermenting barrels to come open. And actually, it takes steel to make the sandbags, and I don't actually have any steel, so that's why this isn't going to work quite yet. But you have to worry about some of the people's mental well-being. So I guess I didn't I didn't really show this yet. So you can click on an individual, and it's going to tell you their health. It's going to tell you kind of I'm guessing this is their mental state. I guess. So if I go to minor, yeah. So if I go to the person that's having a minor break risk, they're stressed right now. But they're healthy. Otherwise, they can kind of do whatever they want and they're unrestricted. Just something to kind of look at there. Otherwise, you can... Oh, I didn't even know you could do that. So you could change what happens when there's nearby enemies. This person, for instance, will flee. But then there's these tabs across the top. So if you go to combat, there's not going to be anything there. We haven't fought anything in a while. There's social aspects of... I mean, there's different... Like we were talking about with the factions, there's actually kind of a... Not faction system, but there's a system even within your colony of how they like or dislike other people within your colony. So, like, for instance, this individual has 3 people they consider their friend. They have good relations with them. There are a number of other people that are acquaintances, some of them that are much more favorably looked upon than others. Some of them are kind of neutral, like it doesn't really matter sort of thing. And you have some acquaintances that are, more negatively looked upon. I don't know if we have any... Oh, we do. Okay, so certain people actually have some friends, some acquaintances, and some rivals, some people they really don't get along with. This is going to happen too because I happened to convert a number of these people were actually enemies at one point. They were raiders, and I actually had captured them. They were imprisoned, and then from there, they actually were converted, and they decided to join the colony. So there's going to be some of them that actually don't get along nearly as well. But overall, we don't tend to have too many problems with them fighting. I think we've only ever had one fight break out, and that ended pretty quick. Otherwise, you can go over to gear. You can see what they're wearing. You can see what they have in their inventory. Usually not much more than just like they keep a meal on them or something like that. And we have a kind of a clothing crisis right now, so a lot of people are actually running around without pants on. But, that's just a personal issue we need to take care of here soon. And part of that is because these 2 things are actually unconstructed. They're not constructed yet. I'm waiting on some parts, and these are going to be the tailoring benches. Once we have these in, we can start making the clothes that we need to actually put clothes on these people's backs. After gear, there's characters. So this is going to be where you can see all of their skills. It also works, you can also go into the work tab and just hover over those check marks, and that'll tell you what they have as well. It'll tell you exactly what they're incapable of, and it'll tell you what their traits are, and kind of a little bit of a background, their age, that sort of thing. So it gives you kind of an idea of what kind of person they are. If you go to needs, this is going to tell you specifically how they're doing in terms of food, their rest, their joy, what they think in terms of their surroundings, the beauty is their surroundings, comfort, how much space they have, their current mood overall. And then down here, it's showing the different things that would influence that. So the green ones are positive things. So this person has low expectations. So right off the bat, they get a positive 12. They like the dining room, which, I don't know, not the best, but they seem to like it. So that's plus 5. They have a decent bedroom. So they are... Bird. Where does Bird stay? Down here. They actually have one of the smallest rooms, but they think they have a decent room, so they have a positive 2. They're wearing worn-out clothes, so that's a bad thing. They just feel bad overall, for no apparent reason. Minus 4. Ugly environment. Yeah, not everything's the prettiest around here. That's negative 5. And they're in a little bit of pain. If you go to some of these other people, they might have different things. Well, this person isn't... They're naked. They don't have any pants on. Yeah, they don't have any pants on. So, they... negative 6. It's hot. I mean, it's 83 degrees outside. Maybe they've been working for quite a while. They're warm. So that's... And we just got done with a heat wave, too. So negative 5. They're in pain. They're wearing worn-out apparel as well. But overall, they're feeling good. So they have a bunch of these positives as well. So, yeah. So different things to look at there. And then the very last tab is the health tab. So this is where you're going to see... you can say, well... Are they allowed to tend to themselves? Are they allowed to, or like what level of health care are they allowed to have? So by default, your settlers are going to be able to have the best quality of medical care. For like prisoners, they're only allowed to have like herbal medicine or worse. So just, and you can set these manually per person, or you can change the defaults. You can see kind of how they're doing in terms of those categories. And then over here, this is like what's actually wrong with them. So these could be long-term things that are wrong with them. It could be temporary things. So if they were in a fight with an animal, it might just be scratches. In this case, there's a scar. That's going to be probably permanent. If you go to this person, I can tell you they're going to have a number of things. This person is that 82-year-old that I was talking about that has an alcohol intolerance. So that's just an issue that they have. They developed dementia in the last year, so they actually at times will randomly go like wandering around not knowing where they're at. They have a scratch scar on their left eye, on their torso, scratch scars, old gunshot, they have a bad back, and they're frail, and their heart has a major artery blockage. Basically, they have a heart attack and die at any time. And they have a little bit of pain, they're weak in consciousness, they don't move very quickly at all, poor manipulation, they're poor at speaking. Basically, they're not really doing that great at anything other than their metabolism, their blood filtration, their bleeding, so they don't need a kidney, so that's good. But yeah, that's the health tab, and so most people tend to have something, right? Like this person has a peg leg for their left leg. Otherwise, they have an old gunshot in their torso, but overall, they're doing okay. Their movement is weakened because of that peg leg, but overall, they're doing okay. But like, for instance, if I go to... that's the person we were just looking at. But yeah, I mean, they all seem to have their differences, which is fine. This person has a major artery blockage as well at the age of 48. They're kind of weakened at most things, but overall, they do okay. But different sort of thing. You can also, if they have something equipped, you can go to gear and see that they have like a revolver, but it's also listed right here as well. You can, like, if someone was invading the colony, you can draft them. So they're going to kind of move on their own unless you draft them. And if you draft them, you can control what they do. And if I want to undraft them, he'll go back to doing his automatic work. So that's kind of a overview of RimWorld. It's not super in-depth. Your materials are listed here on the side. These are all the stuff that you'd have in your stockpiles in various places. But yeah, it's a very interesting game. It's one of those games that has like a very unique story to it, and it's going to be different for every person. Like it's going to be different in the fact of, the different types of settlers that I have, the different encounters I have, the choices I make, and really, like we had talked about too, even in the, where was it? In here. So, like, having different difficulty, having a different storyteller, that's a big thing too. So, like, when you first create a game, you get to choose the storyteller sort of thing. That's kind of your, I guess my best word for it would be like a mutation to the story. So you have one that's more peaceful. You have one that's going to throw a lot of chaotic crap at you, whether it's storms, whether it's raiders, whether it's whatever. So it's a very different experience for each and every person. But overall, a very good game. I would highly recommend it. Unfortunately, I have rarely seen it on sale before. The full retail price is like $29.99, so it's basically $30 on Steam. It's the same price if you buy it on their website. It's technically an early access game. I believe they're looking to come out and make it the full version, I think, by the end of this year, if I'm not mistaken. But otherwise, it's a very complete game. This is something they've been working on for a very long time. And as is, like if they were, and I don't really think they're adding much of any more new features at this point, but they don't have to. I think they've included everything they need to. It feels like a very complete game. In some ways, it feels like multiple games in one. Being somebody that plays a lot of indie type games and smaller development games, I can say that this has so much functionality to it that honestly, had I picked this up or had this been around sooner, I may not have had to buy some other games. Like I said, it's got some things that remind me of Prison Architect. It's got some things that remind me of City Skylines. It's got some certain things that remind me of almost The Sims, like in the way that there's interactions with people. And in some ways, it reminds me of Minecraft. It reminds me of, I haven't actually played it, but in some ways, it looks like a Stardew Valley. It has these different types of mechanics, and I think it takes some of the best things from different ones and puts it all into one game. But like I said, I would highly recommend it. If anybody has any questions about it, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. It's been a long video as is. I haven't decided if I wanted to play this game on video or on stream at all. I may even start a new map if I do so. This might just be the one that I do on my own, and I might create a new one to do for a playthrough of some kind. But as always, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll catch you guys later.